Hey everyone, exciting day today at Automotive Passion. We have next to us the Lamborghini Tecnica. We've been working on this project for quite a long time now. We have made our full replacement base panel, rear spoiler based on the Tecnica with different feet variations for your desired fitment. So let's head up onto the table. Going to talk you through the different feet options, the different configurations, and what we can offer for the Lamborghini Huracan range. Let's start off and talk about the feet options we got in front of us. So the first set of feet that you see is the exact same as the original Tecnica feet. The second option we have made are the DTM version, which are just over double the height. We will share some dimensions on our website of the exact tech specs, so you can go ahead and measure them up on your base plate. So both feet variations fit our base plate and spoiler. These feet can also be fitted on an original Tecnica base plate and spoiler to add a more aggressive, higher profile with the spoiler. Then moving on to our base plate. The base plate will fit all of the Huracan models. We have got aluminum fixings all in the backside. We have got double strengthened up ends for where the spoiler feet mount onto the base plate. We also have a thin layer of titanium on the inside for additional support. Moving on to our Tecnica style blade, we have got aluminum mounting point and thread hole locations in the back for the feet for added support, full dry carbon fiber components only, and also we are now going to head over to the car and talk you through the different variations, spoiler only, base panel, different feet options that can all be fitted separately on your Lamborghini Huracan models. Let's now dive in and remove the original base plate. This car also has our carbon fiber X-brace fitted up, which is also an option for all of the Huracan and R8 models. So starting off, most important tool, you are going to want to have some long extended T30s. Most of the components and the bolts holding in place is a T30. So we're going to show you on the inside of the original base panel, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 screws that run along. The two on the outside are a little bit longer than the ones in the middle. So make sure to mark them so you can ensure to use the same screws once we go ahead and swap over our carbon base panel. So let's go ahead, let's loosen these up. Next, you're going to head over. You can see that there is a T30 right over here holding this plastic trim piece in place. It is on both sides. You're going to head over and loosen that up. You will see we have already removed the other side. Make sure to hold this nice and tight as you're unscrewing, as you do not want the holder bracket to fall into the under tray. We've removed the two T30s on either side. It is just held on with some clips. So you're going to just gently pull this rear trim towards yourself on both sides, and it pulls away pretty easily. And now we have access to the full under tray, which we're going to head over and remove the remaining T30s and get the full base panel off. This comes off as one piece with the top rear spoiler. These T30s over here, you've got 1, 2, you've got 2 in the middle and 1 on either side, which we're going to go ahead, remove those up, and the top ones in the engine bay have already been loosened up and removed from the car, and that will allow the full base panel with the spoiler to move up and out of the car. Next, we're going to go ahead and loosen up the T30s. You've got one main bolt here and here. You then have 2 in the middle and 1 on the left and 1 over on the right hand side. We've already removed and loosened up the bolts on the front side of the base panel, and this will allow the whole base panel with the spoiler to come off as one piece. Now that we have removed all the T30s on the front side of the base panel and on the back side, we are going to use some foam on the underside of the base panel along with a helping hand. So there are 3 plugs on the underside on this Lamborghini Tecnica. Some of the Huracan models we've seen, we've had different configurations of plugs on the underside, but make sure to use the foam on the backside so that you can rest the base panel gently so that you do not scratch anything, and get a helping hand to just help you angle the spoiler so that we can disconnect. On this Tecnica, we've got 3 plugs like so on the underside, 1 on the left, 1 on the right, and 1 little sensor on the underside module. So we've disconnected those. Once those are disconnected, we can pull the base panel towards ourselves and pull that out of the engine bay. We now have everything laid out on the table in front of us. We're going to take the original full spoiler and base panel together as one piece, and we're going to flip that over onto the top side. Make sure you've got a nice table with some padded bubble wrap to protect your original spoiler. So on the underside of the base panel, we're going to go ahead, we're going to disconnect all of the T30s and all of the framework that sit within the rear base panel, which is going to be transferred over onto all the mounting point and thread hole locations on our carbon fiber base panel. We have now removed the underside brackets, which we're going to transfer back over onto our carbon base plate. Make sure to keep all the T30s aside. For these, they are slightly longer. We also then have the smaller T30s that are on the left and right hand side, holding the spoiler onto the original base panel. So let's rewind. Previously in our steps, we mentioned that we can use the original base panel with the larger DTM style feet on your original spoiler. We can also just use the new carbon spoiler if your car doesn't come with one from the factory, or you can just replace the rear base panel and keep your factory spoiler. So configurations are endless. You can tailor and customize your Huracan exactly how you want it. Next up, we're going to head over. Now it is a T25. We've got T25s which hold a small bracket in place along with the top screws. We also have the underside sensor compartment that we are also going to remove out of the original base plate. Make sure to keep all the screws with these components. They are all slightly different heads on all of the screws. So we've removed the T25s from the center bracket, and to move it out, you're going to lift the bottom up, you're going to twist and rotate until this piece and this bracket slots out of the original base plate. You're going to go ahead and install it using the same method in reverse to what we have just done. Next step, you will see that there's also a antenna cable which is on the inside of the base panel. We are going to slowly pull that up. It just has some Velcro on the underside that we are going to peel up, and we are then going to transfer that over onto our base panel. So ensure that you take some pictures before you start to remove these small pieces on the underside so that you can ensure you're going to reuse all the original screws in the right place along with the Velcro. And the final piece is removing the rear light out of the base panel. So you've got some T25s again. We've swapped over to a smaller finger ratchet. And these just have one on either side holding the light bar in place. Make sure to set these screws aside. These are also specific to the light itself. And that is everything out of the original base panel. The last thing that we are going to do, we are going to reuse some of these small metal clips that we are going to transfer over onto the new carbon base panel to allow everything to sit as per factory OEM. We now have our carbon base panel in front of the OEM panel. We are now going to start off first with the rear light fixing. So you can see the mounting point locations. We're going to transfer over the little tabs from the original onto here. As you can see, we have a little bit of adjustability with the hole location. So let's firstly get those into place on both sides. We're then going to get our light, and as we removed it from the original, the sensor is on the left hand side if we have the base panel sitting like such. So we're going to get that lined up with the same existing hole locations, and let's get that in place. And then before we go ahead and tighten it up fully, we can just check our alignment on the front side, that we have it lined up perfectly with the slot on the front. Alrighty, we're going to get in there with our T25. Let's tighten them up. And we're going to get to the point just before it starts to get snug, just so that we can flip it around and check that we have it lined up correctly with the slot before we tighten it up. Right, so we can flip it over and we can now get the light perfect in the middle of the groove slot. We've got a little bit of adjustability, and once we are happy, we can then go ahead and tighten it up fully with the correct alignment. Next, we're going to transfer over the tabs. We're just going to go ahead with a little pick or a pry tool, and they will pop right off. Okay, that is all then back into position, and now we're going to go ahead and fit up our panel, which, as we demonstrated earlier, you're going to rotate it into place. Next up, we're going to put the sensor panel back into place. We're going to line that up. All right. That is going to sit in there like so. Okay, we are getting there. All the components are fitting back together very nicely. We're now going to go ahead, fit up our top struts, which connect to the frame of the car itself. We're then going to go ahead and wire up our loom and aerial cable, which is going to slot back onto the pin as we had it on the original. There we go. And we are then going to run the Velcro and transfer that over onto our carbon base panel. And then we are pretty much set to move on, transfer the feet over, fit everything up onto the base panel and assemble it, and then straight back onto the car, where we are going to show you the two different feet variations. Last up is the signal cable here. We have popped it back into place, and using the Velcro on the original, we've actually just trimmed it in half, but we will also supply you with some new Velcro to use, 3M'd. So firstly, we're going to put the first piece over here. We are then going to hold down the cable, and we are just going to pop that on top to keep the cable in place. We're then going to peel off the next one, and we're going to run it on the inside. Same thing, little piece on top, just to hold in place, and we'll continue our way around on the base panel. All right, and that is it in the correct position. You'll see that on the original base panel that you have a marking point just over here, a little red X. So we've got this exactly the same on our point here. As you can see with our positioning on the underside, you'll see that here is the one on the right hand side at the same, and then you'll see on the left hand side we've got this position where it is exactly in that position. So we need to ensure that it sits just over there. So let's pull that back just a smidge, and it should look something just like that in that last grid position. So you want it to look just like that. You will now see that everything has been transferred over to our base plate. What we are going to do now is, if you actually just lift the base plate off, all the screws have been removed. So that will just come straight off the original base plate, which we are going to put aside. So next up, we can actually just do a fun test if you'd like. We can actually take our original base plate and we can slide that straight onto the original feet. Like so, and you will see that our base plate is identical to OEM. So that is option one. You can have our carbon base plate on your original spoiler. And now what we are going to do is we're going to slip that back off, and we are now going to build up our carbon fiber spoiler with our new feet. The factory feet also work on our spoiler on the exact Tecnica model. We've got the threaded hole locations in place. So we're going to start off with the small style feet, which are identical to the factory style. We have changed the design inside ever so slightly. The original feet are actually made of plastic. We have made our feet of full bullet aluminum. So a bit of a difference there in strength and rigidity compared to the factory plastic feet. They are a lot more secure, and this relates to the strength and rigidity once fitted on the car. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to fix them up to our feet. We're going to screw them up and fix them to our carbon base plate. You can now see we have our AP spoiler with our aluminum feet against the factory spoiler. And as we mentioned, the factory spoiler just has plastic feet mounts. Ours have full aluminum foot mounts, and these are the original height and style feet, identical to the original. So if you wanted to do a full swap over and you did not have a carbon fiber wing from factory, this would be your option. Next, we are going to go ahead and fix our feet with the long supplied screws to the thread hole locations placed within the underside of the spoiler. So we are going to drop our screws in. Okay. And we are going to go ahead and fix those screws in place on both sides. And then we are going to use new supplied titanium screws, which are going to replace the factory stainless steel screws that are going to mount up onto the base panel. We have now gone ahead and fixed the spoiler to the carbon base plate. So what we've done on this left hand side is you just want to have these in loosely. This allows a bit of movement left and right, so you can ensure that the feet on the right hand side also go into the thread hole locations, and it gives you a little bit of movement. Please ignore the silver screws. We will also be supplying titanium screws for the top thread hole locations for the lower bracket mounts. These bracket mounts are adjustable. They have a little bit of movement up and down on the vehicle. So you're going to take your base panel, you're going to set it on the vehicle, and then you can do some small adjustability with these brackets left and right until you are perfectly happy with all of the gaps and it lines up and continues with the line of the rear tail lights. So flexibility from these points and these points to allow you to get the fitment absolutely perfect. We are now going to go ahead, show you what the spoiler looks like on the car with the lower feet mounts, which are the same as the OEM Tecnica rear wing. And we are then going to go ahead and fit our DTM feet, which we are most excited about. To ensure perfect fitment of the rear base plate, these brackets that we discussed on the table, it fits over here and in the center on both sides, can be adjusted to ensure that it follows and meets the lines of the lights perfectly. The original base panel, as you will see when you remove from the car, protrudes slightly from the lights but continues on the same shape. So as long as you have them matching on both sides, and that is all determined by the adjustability on these brackets that sit on the underside of the base panel. So we are going to take these off, make some small adjustments, and move from there. Next up, the exciting part. We are going to go ahead and fit our larger DTM feet now. We tested them up on the car and did some fitting and some photos. With the smaller option, we are now going to go ahead and mount up the larger variant. So these are going to sit the exact same as the OEM and the smaller feet. We are going to mount them up with the extremely long extended bolts that go into the rear underside of the spoiler. We have now gone ahead and installed our large DTM feet. As you can see over the originals and over our feet, they are quite a considerable difference, about double the height. This is for a more aggressive stance on the rear of the car. So we are super excited to go ahead now. We are going to slot the base panel on top of the feet mount uprights. We are going to secure that in place, head back over to the vehicle and show you exactly how it looks all fitted up. We are now at the final stages of fitting the DTM spoiler with the DTM feet. A small note to make, we have done some adjustability on the two panels that we mentioned on the inside, the two brackets, to ensure perfect fitment. On the inside, do not forget, you also have adjustability on these metal pins. They are threaded, they can be slid up and down, and the more you obviously screw them upwards, the more of an angle the spoiler is going to sit on, which therefore dictates this gap on the light itself just over here in my video. So if you get that angle absolutely perfect, you'll be able to get that line running perfectly with the headlight. So some adjustability on those little threads on the inside, and then adjustability on the center brace bracket on either side for OEM perfect finish. We still have to screw down the front. So once we screw down the front, that will hold everything securely, and it follows the line of the tail lights absolutely perfectly. Boom, that is the spoiler all fitted up, completed. DTM feet. We're going to get it out in the sunshine now for some media, for some photos. Looks absolutely superb. What a difference it makes to the rear end.